Thanks for joining us, Lynn Kenyon and Jeanne from Flying S, who's amazing, has done this for many years, can probably do it in your sleep, is going to walk us through a seller statement. So you sell your house and you have a price, you have a buy sell, you agree to all these things. Now it has to go to a statement that reflects everything you agreed to with your buyer. So Jeanne will walk through when you get to your closing. This is your closing table. This is where you come to get paid, to get your final money. So this is really important to understand this.
All right. So your settlement statement is an accounting of all of the funds. We're paying off your mortgage, paying anything owing on the property, coming up with the final bottom line. So in this case, our sales price is $300,000. Property taxes have to be paid current. If they're delinquent, we have to make sure they're paid. So in this case, all of the taxes for last year have been paid. So now we're going to prorate them because the next tax bill isn't going to come due until November of 23 in this case. We're prorating them based on the amount that they were for last year. So basically, you're giving a credit to the buyer for 5 months and 9 days in this case. The buyer will pay those, their lender will pay those when the bill comes due in November.
So hers is June, so a half a year you've been living in the house. If you're a buyer, if you're a seller, you have to pay for that. It's not like, oh, you bought it in 23, you just take them. So you're going to give them, it's going to reflect here, but you're giving your new buyer money for when you lived in the home. And I think that's important. All your liens, the taxes and everything have to be paid off before you can pass on the title.
Correct. In this case, we negotiated seller paid closing costs. So the seller agreed to pay $5,000, which is credited to the buyer. Do you want to elaborate on that on the buy
Yeah,
sell?
so as an agent, and we're seeing this off and on. You're saying, okay, I'm going to pay you $300. I'm going to pay your full asking. Would you pay $5,000 towards my closing costs, my prepaids, my inspections, my appraisals, anything allowed by the lender towards that benefit? And the reason they want you to pay it is because they're going to finance it into their loan. You could also raise the price and ask if the seller says, I'm not paying your loan fees, you pay your own loan fees. We hear that all the time. Well, they were only asking $295, we're going to raise the price to $3. So that's all negotiable. That's all done before Jeanne sees anything. As soon as we get the negotiated buy sell, in Montana we call them buy sells, not purchase orders, then we send it to Jeanne and she has that to go off of so she knows how to reflect it on the settlement statement.
Right. Some of the other fees that you're going to be paying is title insurance. That is built into the buy sell as a seller fee to pay. It is negotiable. If the buyer chooses to pay it, that's fine. The premium for title insurance is based on the sales price. So it's a graduated.
So that's set by these guys. So Flying S, that's how part of how they make their money. There's a scale that says this is what you pay. So it's actually written into the buy sell. I've only ever once
It is in there.
Yeah,
the seller.
And that's a Montana thing. Now I've had a lot of people back east say, "What do you mean? I don't know what are you talking about?" So Montana, the sellers typically pay
Right.
title insurance, and that's not the enhanced policy. That's your standard
That's
policy.
your standard owner's policy. But if you buy a home, you want to make sure that the person selling it to you is actually the person who owns it. You want to make sure all of the liens are paid off, taxes are current, pay off any mortgages. A lot of things attach to real estate. If you get a judgment or a federal tax lien or child support is a big one.
Yeah.
So as part of our closing, we clear title. We make sure everything is taken care of. We order payoffs, pay taxes.
So this is a seller statement. I've had sellers say, "What do you mean? I didn't know that." So they're surprised that some creditor attached a lien, and they sometimes don't find out till it's a little late.
Right, and most people don't realize that judgments attached to any real estate you own. So if you owe back child support, we need an affidavit stating it's current from whoever you're paying it to. There's all kinds of things that
That's super
attach.
important.
That's super important. We charge a closing fee, and that's our fee for our services to do everything.
And to do everything is this.
This, clear title, record the documents, disperse the funds. So there's a lot involved.
So when they come in, Jeannie, they should expect to bring what? This is the seller, so that you can process the sale.
Well, our
Driver's license.
driver's license is basically what we need.
So in Montana, I've talked to some people from other states. You have to have a wet signature. You have to have the original
On
signature
the deed.
on the deed
On
itself.
the deed
So this is
itself.
the settlement statement. This goes
Right.
at the same time you're going to sign this deed when you're at a closing.
Right.
And if they're not here, they can't come in and visit with you and bring their license. Then what do you do?
If the seller isn't here, we need a wet signature on the warranty deed, and we now require a notary of our choosing. We've got a couple companies that we use that are vetted through our company. We'll set that up, send the deed. We can send all of the documents, but the most important is the deed. Everything else can be signed via DocuSign.
So this is a seller. So again, we're at closing. If you're out of state and you're the seller, you've already moved, then Jeannie's going to facilitate all that. She's going to make sure that you can get that wet signature. And the settlement statement doesn't have to be wet,
No.
but that deed has to be wet signature.
Because it needs to be notarized.
Yep. So
Yep.
she'll notarize it if you're here. If you're not, she'll make arrangements for that. But this is all, this is all her time and effort and that sort of thing. So
Right.
a mobile notary is going to add that would add to,
Typically, it's typically $150, but we're requiring that now because there have been forgeries and not real notaries notarizing. So we are now, as a company, requiring a notary.
that the notary goes in. So they can't go to their own
They
bank
can't
and do
go
it.
to their own bank. They can't find their own notary. We require sending one to them.
That's a new one.
It is new.
Yeah, it's all bad guys.
In fact, guys, of course, we're paying Lynn a commission for all of her hard work. Paying off your mortgage. We'll order a payoff statement from your lender. We will send an authorization to your agent for you to fill out with all of your loan information, socials, everything. Need that back as soon as possible so we can request your payoff. That's how we get that information.
Because that can change, but if something
It
gets
can
delayed,
change.
yeah. So they would need to know that. That's important. A lot of people, I'm not telling them what I owe. Well, then you're not getting paid.
Well, we have to pay it off, and we want to send them an accurate payoff, so that's very important. Some other fees you might pay, a home warranty, that's negotiated into the contract at times. Repairs, if you have any repairs that need to be done to satisfy everything.
So would that be a holdback then you're talking about?
Well, we can do holdbacks too, but if you needed trees trimmed or little painting or just repairs, the agent will send us an invoice and we'll collect that.
So I think this would be a time when you would see a holdback. Can you explain what that is?
A holdback is more, usually a lender might require a holdback if there's something that needs to be done.
So work
And
that has to be done.
Work that has to be done, but we want to close, and then it might be the dead of winter and we need a new roof. So we'll hold funds until that can be accomplished.
So we're Montana, yeah. It's, you need a roof because the lender's not going to lend you the money if it's got a bad roof. So a lot of times this is not the seller and the buyer negotiating it. This is the lender requiring a new roof. So in that case, from agent perspective, so they'll usually, depending on the type of loan, oftentimes they'll ask for 2 bids on what that roof's going to cost. And then Jeannie will hold back. So she's going to put in, so at closing, she's going to collect that money. It's a $10,000 roof. your bid is. So she's gonna hold on to 15,000.
Right.
So 1.5
1
times.
and a half times.
She's gonna put it in a little account that no one can touch. When the contractor, when it gets nice, then the contractor comes back, says, okay, I did the roof, it cost me 12, I thought it was gonna be 10. She's got enough because she held back 15. She's gonna pay the contractor when everybody agrees that that's what should be done, she's gonna pay the contractors 12. And then the seller, because you're the seller on this one, you're going to get that difference. So sometimes it's like, wait a minute, but the buyer's not getting his money unless there's a good roof. And this again all depends on the loan. We have loan. We have a loan series too, but that's a part that Jeannie does. She holds on to it, and then everybody has to give it their blessing that she can release those funds. So it's safe, rather than okay. The other scenario is if the title company didn't have it, you just say, okay, well, why don't you just hold on to that, and when I get the roof done, then I'll pay you. But there's no guarantee. So this is the safest for buyer and seller to assure, and the lender to assure that that roof gets taken care of, or anything. It could be anything that you couldn't do in the middle of winter.
Right. We're a neutral third party.
Yep. Perfect.
The other thing I have on here is second half taxes. So again, we have to make sure taxes are paid current. Anything that's due, we pay. So with that, in this case, 300,000 is our sales price. We're deducting mortgage payoff, commissions, title fees, everything. Leaves us a balance, in this case, 147,430.47.
So that's what the seller gets. So there's many factors, and obviously this is going to vary dramatically based on what you owe, what you've negotiated, and all your other fees. And so she will do this. She'll take this number. You'll come in. You'll sign. Ideally, if you're in town, and then you pay. It's your quick pay.
We're quick pay. We have to get everything funded. The lender's got to send money, obviously, and they wire their funds. A lot of times we have to get funding approval, which means we've got to send everything back to the lender so we get their blessing on it. Once we have that, we can record. So usually it's pretty quick. We can e-file the documents now, so we don't have to physically run over to the courthouse and record. So that's very handy to be able to do that. And
you pay by cashier's check or wire or whatever is worked out. So it just depends on, if you're going to get paid, depends on the time of the day. And you need here, what you file by what, 3?
4 o'clock is our cutoff time. So typically we try to get all of the disbursements made the same day. Sometimes it's the next day. So don't panic if your funds don't get deposited or if the check's not ready. But we do our best to get everything funded. Job.
So that's important to understand this if you're the seller, because there's some surprises. Sometimes I think taxes are very big surprise for sellers. Oh, what do I have to pay the taxes? Commission, the best part of the whole deal is, wait a minute, how much work did you do? So it's all here. Everything is very clear. You know exactly what you're getting, and understanding what it is, and that this is all generated from that buy-sell. So when you're signing a buy-sell, all those little nuances that affect this bottom line. So if you don't understand, you should always ask your agent. And Jeannie's available to help explain. She'll send this to you before you ever get to this point and start signing. You'll have seen this more than once likely. So if you have any questions or corrections, something's not correct, then they are able to do that. But Jeannie's ace closer, title gal, and we love working with her, flying us. They're 4 in Cascade County. They've been gracious enough to walk through these with us, and I think it really helps to understand. And if you don't understand, you should give. They're always available to answer questions. So Lynn Kenyon, Jeanne Strizich. I'm with Everything Montana Real Estate, live in Montana Real Estate, and this is to help you as a buyer and a seller understand this whole process, because it's overwhelming. You're packing and you're doing all these things, so hopefully you do. So thanks again.
All right.
We always appreciate your time.
Thank you, Lynn.
See ya.